Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 45 and we have a good one for you today. This fish is incredibly popular in the aquarium trade. A lot of people have had this in their saltwater aquariums. It does really good things and it's definitely one of those fish you enjoy seeing. Today we are going to be talking about the jeweled Blenny. Jeweled Blenny, or scientific name Salarius fasciatus. Again, that is Salarius fasciatus. It is part of the family Blenniidae. Again, Blenniidae. It is also known as the lawnmower Blenny. By the way, I didn't mention this, but I hope it was pretty obvious. Blenniidae is the family of Blennies. Not too much of a stretch there. This picture, which is Luca Vicentini took, is possibly one of the best pictures of the jewel Blenny I could find. That's why I have this. But it's an incredibly variable fish. Just because you have something does not mean you'll know it is a jeweled Blenny or a lawnmower Blenny, as many other people know this. It is native from East Africa to Samoa. Primarily, this thing is most known around Australia. It is found in shallow reef flats with heavy algae cover. So, really shallow reefs that have a ton of algae all over. Why that is apparent you'll know in a second. It is a small fish. The maximum recorded size of this fish is 14 centimeters, which is 5.5 inches. And that seems to be the granddaddy of all jewel Blennies. Most of the reports I see them, 3.5, 4.5 inches. So I think, 10 to 12 centimeters. A 14 centimeter apparently is just an absolute giant jeweled. Now, like most other Blennies, they do have a very short, blunt head, really large eyes, and you can kind of tell here, see him good here, but look at this picture of the head. They have these cirri on the top, which are kind of like little tiny hairs. They almost look like little tiny coral pieces. They have these cirri on the top of the heads. Now, they have a continuous dorsal fin. You can tell right here that is not heavily notched, with a rounded tail fin. And then, these large pectoral fins. They are scaleless. They do not have scales, and they are very compressed, meaning that if you look at them from the head, they look kind of skinny. Think like an eel. An eel has a compressed body and an elongated body. So think a little tiny eel body with a big fat head. There you go. Now their pelvic fins, which are the ones way in, back here, right there, are actually very slender and very small. Now, one of the things that people might get this confused with would be something called a goby. Gobies have a very similar body structure. They're usually a little more active, but in terms of physical characteristics, a goby think those pelvic fins, those fins at the back. The gobies have a fused pelvic fin that form a disc to help them attach to rocks, whereas these just have very small pelvic fins, which think of it basically like very small legs, and that's what they use. These are also fish that stays on the bottom, in the rocks, in the corals, and it just kind of perches on corals. That's how you're gonna see this. This one's perching on this hair algae, right? I don't know if that's hair algae, but it's perching right there. And a goby will do that, but it'll suction itself to a rock. Now, as I said, they do have enlarged pectoral fins. That's also to help them stand up when they are perched on a rock or something. Now, the reason why I threw these pictures up, which by the way, there are not a bunch of pictures of this Blenny. So if you are an aquarium or an aquarist out there or an aquarium store, please, if you have pictures of these, throw them up on the internet. The pictures that are on there are just awful. But they actually have a very variable color scheme. And one of the reasons why is because they can actually change colors to help blend in with their surroundings. So if you have this sort of white bottom, they're going to be quite a bit paler, darker because probably not as much color in the tank, whereas this one probably has a bunch of red in the tank. Most of their color changes in the front half of the body, but there seems to be some reports that they'll change the back color. This one, you know, has a lot of vegetation, I guess. That's why it's pretty dark. But primarily, you're going to see this kind of mottled tan color with just slight shade variation. But as you can see in this picture, and this picture to an extent, one of the things that they are known for is actually having these blue spots on the head and the eyeball. Apparently those can also change color. Apparently this thing just loves to change. But it has these blue spots going around that just really give it kind of that strike, and you can really see it here. See them there. It's got that weird eye color which almost seems dashed as it goes around this. Now, as I said, one of the nicknames for this fish is actually the lawnmower Blenny. Well, it's not too far of a stretch to figure out why it's called a lawnmower Blenny. These things are known in the aquarium trade for how much it eats algae growth from rocks and glass. This thing is heavily sought after as an algae control fish. And it does seem to do pretty well in that. However, it has come to find out that this fish actually primarily eats detritus. So small things, they're dead things on the bottom of the ocean floor or on the rocks, the dead plants. It seems to eat primarily that, and only 15% of its diet is plants or algae. So it's kind of a little misnomer. Now they live between 2 to 6 years in there. And you know, like I said, it seems to be there because it's hard to get a good idea, because as I said, these are super popular in aquariums and you can get them almost anywhere. I found numerous websites I could buy them for $10, $20, have them shipped. They're very common. However, the reason why we don't really have a good idea on their lifespan is, unfortunately, most jeweled blennies starve in an aquarium. These things, while they don't eat, you know, only 15% of its diet is plants, apparently these things eat so much that you need a lot of algae growth in your aquarium for this fish to survive. And then once the algae is gone, you have to supplement feed them with extra, basically either like, I think they did like dried nori, which is a type of seaweed. Apparently it'll eat that. And also you can't hang it. There seems to be some debate whether it actually likes the algae on the glass. But long story short, unfortunately, most jewel blennies in aquariums wind up starving. People get them because they feel they have an algae problem, and then their algae is gone, but then there's nothing for the blenny to eat. So that's unfortunately pretty sad. They seem to be pretty fine in terms of like how numbers and everything. They seem to be a really common fish. They don't seem to be any problems in the wild. I'm not saying I condone the catching and selling of wild fish for the aquarium trade, but this one seems to be okay. There doesn't seem to be too much on their reproduction. It seems to be pretty simple. The female lays eggs, the male will fertilize them and guard them over a hard substrate. It does seem, not necessarily this blenny, but most blennies like to lay them in barnacles. but I can't find anything. There actually wasn't a whole lot on this. It was actually really difficult. But now for the interesting fact that we're going to end the video on, and this one was kind of mind-blowing. We called this the lawnmower Blenny. So we know that it eats algae. We know that it only eats 15% plant material. Well, there's actually been some research done on how much it does. And here's the interesting fact. I know I'm building up to it. The jeweled Blenny has been recorded to take around 3,000 bites of substrate per day. 3,000 bites of substrate. Think, this is not a very big fish, and it takes 3,000 bites throughout the entire course of a day. And doing that removed on an average of 2.19 milligrams of algae, which honestly is a lot more than people think. So this is a pretty voracious predator. This is a pretty voracious eater. It is definitely one of those that you're gonna want there. But 3,000 bites, that's a lot of bites. And it doesn't seem like it, but it is, trust me. But thank you guys so much again for stopping in. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I'd really appreciate it. I really enjoy these comments, guys. Please keep them coming. I love answering the questions. If you have any extra questions, even if it's not about this fish, if it's about other fish, if you want me to do a fish, please just let me know. But thank you guys so much again. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones.